Good morning, everybody. We're down here in the basement. We're gonna get onto the old Farmall cob here. She's been setting, oh, I don't know, for about a week. But she usually starts out. It's got a brand new motor, so usually you don't have to choke it or nothing. Oh, we're gonna have to do this morning. We'll see if we can back her out again. Very good. You got to duck her head and come out of there. It's a little low, but anyway, we're going to take this old girl over across the way here on the other field, and I'm going to tear up some plastic. It's the worst job of the year, but it's something we have to do every year. You know, there's 10 strips of plastic on this field we're going to. They're only 100 foot long, small field. And, this field out back right here has about 22 strips that are 200 feet long, and so these 100-foot pieces, they're not bad at all, but still, you know, one of the most unenjoyable parts of the year. But anyway, we'll bring you back here when we get over there. I just happened to think in here, sun's starting to come out, but boy, you can see that line. We're supposed to have that clear out in about a half hour, and it's supposed to be a beautiful day. It's supposed to get up into the 50s. You know, still a little chilly. It was close to a frost last night. It was down there pretty cold. Feels good. So should be a nice day. We got to sneak around this old stone wall here. We got an old stone wall right here. Divides these two fields up. We'll cultivate across these plastic strips so we can pull them out. Try to pull them without cultivating first. You just rip the plastic and leave the edges in the soil, and I don't like that at all. I like to get it all out. I'm not a real granola cruncher, you know, as far as worrying about using plastic and stuff. We use regular fertilizer too. There's a lot of things we do that some people would frown against, but you know, this is how we do it up here. What we're going to do is we're going to put the cultivator down. We'll see if it's dry enough we can go. Basically all you're doing is disturbing the soil enough that it'll let that little windrow of dirt move off of the plastic when you go to pick it up. It is still a little wet, but we're supposed to get 6 inches of snow tonight and tomorrow, so I figured probably as dry as it's going to get for a week or so. If I get up 3 or 4 pieces today, I'll be tickled to death. I don't have to get it all. We'll just work at it, see what we get. Now we'll back up and go across it again. It is still soft, that's for sure. Shoot. Can't even steer it. A little bit sloppy. Might have to unlock them brakes. Normally don't, but help us steer a little bit. Yeah. There we go. Amazing what a brake will do. So we'll cultivate these both ways, and I'll grab a hold of it, see how it pulls out. Once I get all this plastic up, then I can put my hydrated lime down. Start preparing stuff for the summer. Yeah, I'll just steer this old girl, get her lined up for the next one. Perfect. We'll shut this honey right off. It's I like to do one strip at a time. If you do too many strips, you get kind of bored with it. But anyway, we'll see how this one comes out. Talk to you in a second. Well, everybody, I got a different approach here. I went, got the harness today, thought I'd, oops, got another bag inside of a bag here. That's good. And I gotta get my hat back on now. The sun's coming out bright. Anyway, that's all there is to picking up one piece of plastic. These little 100-foot pieces ain't bad. We'll throw that down there. Get my hat back on. We'll cultivate up another piece here. Whoop. Guess we was already in gear. Come on. A little wet. I hate having to ride the brake like this, but I actually got a new set of brakes in the shop right now. They just showed up, so I'm going to reseal the rear end, and when I do, I'll put new brake liners on. So I was hoping to get this here done before I tear this thing apart, because it'll probably be a week or two of evenings doing the, I'm going to tear both sides apart. It's not a big deal. I'll bring her along when I do that anyway. I know there's videos out there that show it, but you know, everybody does it a little different. Boy, you know, we can't back up, so we'll go forward. This field's one of my wettest fields that I own. Me and the wife own together, you know. As you can see over here, we got water running. That's a drain that comes out of the first greenhouse up there. It's a perimeter drain around it, and it runs year round, about the size of a garden hose, never stops. So now we'll see here what we can do this time. I got a piece of the plastic here. That's better. Yeah, while we're on the tractor, I might as well do another row. And then that way I can pull 2 at a time. We'll see if we can back up this time. I guess we're going to be able to. Kind of tight getting in here, but that's all right. Doing well behind us. Would have been awful nice to have another week of sunny weather before we had to do this, but like I say, 6 inches of snow, this field will turn right into a quagmire again. So, kind of got to work with what we got. See there, we're slipping quite a lot with tires. Yeah. A lot of mud. But, got to deal with it. Yeah. Pull the throttle back. Yeah. We'll go see what we can pull here. Yeah, it's pretty muddy. But you know, if you wait till this stuff is too dry, the plastic don't come up as easy either. That's what we had in here. This is a pickling row last year. Save that tag there, we can use it over again. Put that in my back pocket. They cost about 10 cents a piece, so I can't throw them away. There. Once you get that end started, it'll come right up pretty nice. You just kind of pull it back and forth side to side. Of course, for those of you that have big farms, you know, you've probably got a machine that does this, but when you make a living on growing only, you know, a couple acres of crops, which we do, you can't be foolish in spending a lot of money on all this frivolous equipment that, yeah, it might be nice to have, but it's not practical for a small farmer. And every now and then here you have a place that rips and you kind of got to frig with it a little bit. There we go. A lot of that's from last summer cultivating. Sometimes you get into it by mistake. But as you will see, it'll come right up pretty nice. We've tried it without cultivating and it doesn't work good. So, there might be somebody out there wondering, why don't you just go pull it up? Well, you can. But boy, you mess around with it an awful lot on the edges. It's worth taking the time. But you still have these little spots where you have to trig with it. Of course, these deer pressure is pretty heavy over here. These are all where deer have walked. You can see all the footprints. Of course, that causes it to tear a lot. This here was where I was hooked up in the back there with the cultivator. Well, kind of tore things up, but I got the edges in my hand, so we still managed to get it all up. We'll go back and throw these little pieces here in the bag, and we'll have succeeded in getting 100% of this one up, or all of it that I know of anyway, which is the main thing. Get all you can. We tried red plastic for tomatoes one year because they say how that's a hot ticket. Well, it's translucent and the weeds will grow. Every one of them that germinates will grow underneath that red plastic. And you know, they touted about how good it was and you get a higher percentage of yield. Well, all I could see was we was growing weeds underneath it. And yeah, the tomatoes, they did average, but nothing special. And I got about $50 worth of that stuff still in the house there. I'm gonna throw it right to the dump. We haven't done it yet, but we're gonna. Because when I put a piece of black plastic up for mulch, I want it to kill the weeds from lack of sunlight. So, you know, they don't tell you that. They probably are using some type of a herbicide, something pre-merge to actually, I don't know if I got that dirt on the lens or not there. It blew it all in my face. So anyway, they use chemicals, you know, to get rid of that stuff. But, throw these rocks off that I put on it last fall. I love these big farms out in Illinois, you know. They might pick up 1 or 2 rocks per 10 acres size of basketball, but they don't have any small rocks. Boy, what a treasure that is to have land like that. But in Maine, we don't have any lack of rocks. So anyway, I'm gonna do this last piece of plastic with you, and it gets kind of boring. I gotta tell you this little story though, if you're still listening, still watching this video. A good friend of mine here, about a week ago, lost his life to cancer, prostate cancer, and he was seeing a doctor for, you know, typical, you know, stuff that guys go through when they get in their late 50s and early 60s. They put him on a drug there to make it so he could go to the bathroom easier. Well, this drug makes your PSA score go down by almost 50%. And he kept every year going to the same doctor and having his PSA done, you know, which is looking for cancer. And his numbers kept staying right where they were because he was on that drug. Finally, somebody says, hey, you know, we got to double that number. Well, of course, that put him right up into, oh my word category, you know. So then they started saying, well, we better do some looking. Well, by that time, that cancer had already got into his bones. And it had gone all through him. He didn't know it, of course. He was feeling fairly good at the time. But he they put him on a bunch of drugs, and he did live probably a couple years longer than he would have without them. But sad story about doctors frigging up. You know, there was no need of him dying from prostate cancer. You know, especially when you've got a doctor, you know. If you've got a urologist, you shouldn't be dying of prostate cancer. That's all I got to say about it. And my numbers were going high back about 4 years ago. They get up into the 4s, and which isn't that high a number, but every time they'd stick a finger up my backside, they'd say, well, your prostate isn't enlarged. Well, you know, that's a sign there's probably something going on. So I ended up doing 2 biopsies each year. I better do another one, he says, because my number was still going up. It was basically doubling each year. Finally got from 2 to 4, and then it went from 4 to 8. So the next time I went in, it was 8. And they says, well, we've already given you 2 biopsies. I think we'll go ahead and have you do an MRI. So we went and did the MRI, and sure enough, it showed the cancer. So then they were going to do this thing called a fusion biopsy, where they lay one image on top of the other. Well, we had gone to a different hospital, and they wouldn't use that image. They wanted us to go and use the same one, or use a different one rather. Yeah, you're a little dusty there. So anyway, we frigged around with them for 6-8 months. I don't know how long it was. It's at least 6 months for them dubbing around. They didn't want to use that imaging. They wanted us to go in and use their own, because they said the computers weren't compatible. Imagine that this day and age. So nice day out here, birds chirping. So anyway, after about 6 months, and my urologist there writing nasty grams kind of to them, all of a sudden they could read them images. It was compatible with their system. So we go on in, dub around doing that, and you know, one thing leads to another. By the time they actually took my prostate out, it was a year later, or real close to it. Within a month or two of being a year. So they take it out. The guy says, you know, I didn't like the looks of the floor muscles. He says, I took out some biopsies. I said, okay. So that comes back 10 on the Gleason scale there, which means it's the worst type of cancer you can have, and it was in the muscles underneath, and it was out of the prostate, which is bad. So I had to go in, had to wait another, Jesus, I think 6 months. Make sure you're all healed up before they give you that radiation. And I was pretty sad about having to do the radiation, you know, because things was kind of starting to work again. You know, I thought, well, this ain't gonna be half bad. Well, you know, all of a sudden, about 2 weeks into radiation, whatever was starting to work again didn't work anymore. And anyway, we did, Jesus, I forget how many weeks, 9 weeks, I think, of radiation. And I know the harmless farmer, he's starting into radiation and chemo at the same time. I didn't have to do the chemo. That chemo's bad mojo. That's some bad stuff. But the radiation, man, I was exhausted every day. Of course, I don't sleep good at night because I'm always getting up worried about peeing to bed. So I get up 5-6 times a night and go pee, and you know, it is what it is. I don't have any prostate to hold that back. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Some guys I know, they go all night and never get up. I'd give anything to be able to do that. But anyway, it is what it is. You know, I'm surviving, and it's been a year and a half, 2 years, I guess, since I actually had the prostate out. And each time, every 6 months, I go have my PSA done, go see one of the big wheels. So far, so good. 0, you know, on the PSA. So they might have got every bit of it. I hope they did. If they didn't, of course, I'll be in trouble later on. But yeah, so my friend, unfortunately, doctors had not having the stuff together, cost him his life. And he was a nice guy, one of the best body men in the country. I mean, he worked on Packards that went out to Pebble Beach out in California. I mean, he was, you know, his operation was good. And so anyway, great loss to all the body working community and all the friends that he had. He had thousands of friends from here to Florida. Anyway, sad story. Nice day here though. I'm still here, still kicking, feeling good. And matter of fact, last night was the first night. I only got up twice last night, and that's the first night in a week I've slept good. So anyway, that was quite a treat, I'll tell you, to sleep through a night. But boy, that cloud line there hates to move by. They said it would only be 2 hours, and I guess it is finally going to get overhead here. It's going to come out bright and sunny here in a little bit. But I'm going to shut this video off. I'm yamming long enough, and it's long enough video. Christ, I'm going to be 25 minutes long here before I know it. And, I just wanted to show you how we take up pet plastic here on a small scale farm. You know, it's kind of crude, but it's the best way to do it. You know, I'll have enough time here today, probably get up all 10 of these if it don't get too muddy on the lower end. Of course, we're going downhill almost probably 10, 12 inches each row. And eventually we head down into that low spot right there. Probably the last 2 or 3 strips I might not be able to get today. But if I can get it all but 2 or 3 strips, I can still harrow up top here and get some of this grass breaking down. Because what we do, this is all stuff that runs. So as soon as it runs off the plastic 2 or 3 feet, you can't cultivate anymore. And it grows up to grass in between the stuff. That's why this field here is so much messier than the other one. But anyway, I'll shut you folks off. Hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed it enough, give me a thumbs up. If you got any questions, I like it when people ask me questions. I'll answer them. And you know, subscribe if you like. Wouldn't be a bad thing either. Hope you enjoyed. Talk to you later.